Welcome back to Two Gals and a Glass Half Full. We are in the month of December. We're talking about goal setting. In the first episode, we've talked about kind of making 50 dreams, 50 goals, no restrictions, no failure, no fear of failure. Like, what do you want to accomplish in life? Last episode, we took those and we've picked one goal for each of the 8 categories that we want to accomplish in this next year. And this episode, now we're going to take that goal, that yearly goal, and how do we break it into a monthly goal? So we're going to kind of keep going down, like breaking it into small steps. That's what we're all about, is making those small changes that make a huge difference. So make sure you hit subscribe below and stay up to date on all the Two Gals happenings. And before we get started, Dr. Jess, what is in your glass?
Still working on my water. So trying to stay hydrated. It's not that hot out right now. However, even when it's not hot, you still need to drink a lot of fluid. And that's going to be something that, as in the colder months, is even harder to think about. So making like realistic goals for how to finish your water for the day is key. It's something I work on all the time. So Dr. Bobbie, what's in your glass?
Water, H2O. Good plain H2O with ice. It doesn't matter how cold it is out. I have to have ice in my drink. I don't know why. I just love ice. So ice, water.
That's okay. So like Dr. Bobbie said, is that we're talking those goals that we talked about in the last episode, where we have one goal for each of our categories that can be achieved between 6 months and 5 years. And so the categories are going to be recreational, spiritual, health, personal growth, family and relationships, financial, and career. And now that we have one goal in each of those categories, what we're going to do is talk about how do we break that goal down into, again, more manageable steps. Because we want that dopamine release in our brain to ting when we start to achieve goals. So we want to make sure that we get to the point where we have this nice, sustainable plan for being able to get progress done. And so if we're going to have progress, we're going to want to make sure that we have like very specific check boxes of like, once I complete this, it's like, yeah, I can move on to this next step. And you congratulate yourself when you achieve each step and you celebrate each step. It's not like, oh, well, it was just one step. No, one step is one step more than you had.
Right.
Like, yay.
Yeah, so I think, you at this point, you've clarified in all of those 8 categories, what is the one thing you want to really focus on? And what we're going to do now is break that down into like monthly. And so first you kind of have to know why, like what is that overall goal? So your overall goal, why do you want that? And what's your motivation behind that? And you want to write that out, because that's going to help you go through this. It's going to help you be more successful. And so when you start breaking that down, we used the example before of buying a house. If I want to buy a house in 5 years, I want $100,000 down payment. We're making easy math here. So 5 years, that's $20,000 I need to save this year. So I'm going to look, my goal is I'm going to save $20,000. And my why is because ultimately I want my own space. And that's my motivation, why I want a house. And my motivation, I want my own space. I'm ready to move out. Even though living with everyone, family is great, sometimes you want your own space.
Yeah, you're going to build equity, lots of whys. Right?
And so then looking at that is like, what are my fears to overcome? I think a lot of time in goals, we set these goals, but we don't look at 2 important things of like, what are my fears? And then also, so looking at fears and looking at distractions. I think with the financial, sometimes there's not as much fear as there can be.
There can be.
But let's use the example of saving a down payment for a house. I feel like in that scenario, distractions are more of an issue. Yes. And distractions would be the fun concerts that come up, I want to eat out, the just random, like how we waste money. Like how many times you just swipe your card and you have no idea how much you spent.
Right. Oh yeah, no, it's all of that easily kind of backs up into why the goal doesn't get achieved. So writing that down in advance is what sets you up to be able to achieve the goal, because it's going to make you, if you're honest with yourself, then you're going to be way more aware of what's going to potentially be getting in your way, and then that's actually helps you set your goal setting. Because now those achievable steps are going to include those as potential things that are going to derail you, and then those actually become goals themselves.
Yes.
So, yeah.
So if we're talking, we're going to stay on this example of buying a house. I think it's a great one to stay on. So let's say our first month, so our last month goal is to have the 20,000, right? So the end of December's goal is to finish out that 20,000. But I got to divide that into 12 steps. And maybe we're starting off where I don't even know what I spend.
Right.
So maybe January is, my goal is I'm going to just track everything I'm spending. So I have an idea. And then the next 3 months, which would be February, March, April, I'm going to practice making a budget. And I think a lot of people hear budget and they think of, oh my goodness, I can't spend money, it's restricting me. A budget allows you to spend. If you sit down before the month, I'm a big Dave Ramsey follower, so before January 1st, January you're just kind of tracking what you spend. If you have no idea what you're spending, just take 1 month and just start tracking so you have an idea of where to start. So then before February 1st, you sit down with a significant other, with someone that's going to hold you accountable, and you make a rough budget. And at this point, it's a pure guess, most likely.
If you haven't been tracking it, that's okay that it's a guess. Make it a realistic guess, though, so that, again, you've got to set yourself up for success. If you think you're going to spend $50 a week on groceries, at this point, even like $200 for a single person, right? Oh, goodness, not happening.
No.
Really break it down so that it's like a realistic, when you go to the grocery store, it really is this much money. Don't cut yourself short, because then in your budget, if you cut it short, then you're going to be coming up that each time you try and match your budget, you're never doing it, and then you feel defeated, and then we're not getting the dopamine release. And we want the dopamine. Yeah.
So then, realistically, a budget takes about 3 months to do. So now we're into April, and so you have May, June, July, August, September, October, November, December. So now you have 8 months, and you can take that 20,000 and you can look at your budget and you can decide, and I'm not good enough math off the top of my head, but 20,000 divided by 8 is probably a little over 2,000 a month that I'm going to be saving. And so that's not exact. I don't have a calculator. But then now I can look, and where can I cut back? Where can I save? Where could I maybe take an extra job? Where could I do some side hustles? And that's where you're going to start seeing how you can kind of set each month up. Because if you just say, I'm going to have $20,000 by the end of December, and you have no plan to get there, you're not going to have it.
And it could be something that, you talk with a financial planner, somebody that has a fiduciary responsibility, and say, hey, I have this 5-year goal and I want to be smart with my money. Are there ways that I could, put it somewhere and have it grow for me? Are there things that you would suggest? What do you think about? Because some of them, we have a financial planner we work with, and they're really quite honest of hey, now's not a good time to buy a car. If you can keep your car, just keep it going. It doesn't really make a lot of sense unless, you have a ton of money to put down on it. So where else could we put that money to, better utilize your resources? And I appreciate the honesty when, when people are saying, well, let's start saving for a house, and if you could, this would make a big difference. If you could get this much extra per month, at the end of 5 years, it's going to be this much money. Right. So how much, if you just need to make an extra, $300, $500 a month, whatever that might be, what can you do to do that? It might be something as simple as, can you get overtime at work? Can you ask for a raise? Can you do something extra?
Cutting grass,
right,
there's so many side jobs.
There's a lot of different ways that you potentially could, reach that goal if your budget doesn't say, like, I mean, I know when we were saving for a house, like it wasn't in the budget just to save an extra 20 grand at the end of the year. And so we did pick up extra hours. I picked up home health patients. So I had a full-time job, and I saw like over the course of the week, 3 to 4 home health patients. Like my husband, he picked up a little bit of extra, and that little bit of extra made the difference. And we saved for many years in order to be able to do it.
And I think, so if you're looking at that year goal, I think realizing it's a short time. It's a short time that you're going to be giving up and working extra, but it also is going to help you get your priorities in straight. One thing I want to say about a financial planner, and I know Dr. Jess is very smart about this, is when you're dealing with someone with their money, make sure you understand what they're doing. Right. I know Dr. Jess and her family doesn't just give someone their money, neither do I. No. They understand every transaction. They understand every reasoning behind, and I think it's very important that you do that. And you don't just put your faith in someone and just say, "Here you go. Here's my money."
No, like interview them. You know, like definitely like understand. Are they the one making trades? Is it a third party making trades? Is it like really doing your homework on whoever you're working with. But sometimes I think it is helpful to like talk to somebody that understands finance. Because if you're coming about it from a perspective of, I mean, I know when I got out of grad school, I had no idea how to like really be strategic with saving for a house, saving for retirement, you know, knowing I would need to replace a car, knowing I would want to start a family. Like I didn't really, those are like such big goals. Like I could set a budget for like living month to month, but like these really big goals I was overwhelmed by.
Right.
And so, meeting with, you know, different financial planners over the years, you know, you kind of don't go with the first person that you meet on a billboard, you know, but like finding somebody that understands you where you are. Like I don't necessarily know exactly how to get to where I want to go, but they'll have like some just like, you know, there's different like savings plans that have like, you know, 4% growth on them. You know, it's not invested into the market or anything like that. And, you know, that 4% over, you know, 4 or 5 years could be a lot of money, you know, so that could save you a couple of months at the end of the day. So things that you might not know about.
And going back to priorities, you know, when you're looking at saving a house, do I really need this $200 internet bill? Do I really need this, you know, do I need these season tickets to this game? Do I need to go to this concert? Do I need to eat out 4 times a week? You know, you're not giving up everything, but like, where are my priorities? Can I cut back here? Do I need to eat steak and this and this and this every week? Or can I eat a little bit, something that's maybe cheaper? Still healthy, still good for me, but not ridiculously priced. And those little things, they add up, and that's what we're all about, is like, honestly, those little tiny cuts, $1 here, $1 there, over time they add up. You know, $1 a day is $365.
Exactly, yeah. And I think when you reframe it into like, what are our needs versus wants, and if you truly consider this goal of buying a house as a need, right? So if that's truly a need, then we have to define wants. And so it's, you know, we've got to make sure that we're being honest with ourselves and realistic with ourselves of, you know, we can't have all of our needs and all of our wants typically, unless you have like all sorts of like bajillion dollars. And even then that doesn't buy happiness. Like we know that. And so it really is about prioritizing, putting your values first, and then from there, all of a sudden the wants become less important. They just do, because you're making sure that your needs are being met and will be met in the future. So that's kind of the point of kind of breaking all of these down, is what are the strategies, and realistically, how do you do that? And how you do it is defining what are the things that are going to get in your way. And so define those first, and then from there, you make your sustainable, you know, just break that goal down. It might be breaking it down by 12 into 12 achievable goals. It might be chunked out, as Dr. Bobbie was saying, that it's not like, oh, I'm going to save for the house and I'm going to have 20 grand by the end of the year and I'm going to start in January. Well, if you defined your barriers first, you would know that you don't have a budget yet. And so now I have to make a goal to meet the budget plan, and then I can start making my goal towards getting that money saved. And so that's a more realistic, true way of making goals, is defining the barriers. Because anything else we talk about, whether it's recreational, spiritual, or health, personal growth, family relationships, financial, career, right? So any of those are going to have fears, barriers, distractions that are going to be in the way. And they don't need to be, right?
Right.
You just have to find your workarounds, and then you get more and more specific from there. And so we have our PDFs. Go to our website, www.2-gals.com, and they're meant to help to just, in like a template that's already done for you, help you work through this process of starting at this big picture and then working your way into real sustainable change.
And I think one thing that we haven't talked about yet is when you're at this point of setting these monthly goals, and next week when we talk about weekly goals, for both of those, I think it's important, especially monthly goals, to set a reward if you hit that goal. And now, if your goal is to save $20,000, your reward isn't to go spend $500 on a shopping spree. Like, make these rewards something special and something meaningful, but that they're not going to hurt you.
Right. Yeah, they're not going to be part of that barrier that then jumped into the way.
But I think it's important to reward yourself for the goals that you do hit.
Absolutely. Yeah. And share that joy with other people around you. Have that accountability group of people that are safe to you, and say yay, I just wanted to call and let you know, I met this goal. I worked really hard this month, and this is what I was able to achieve. And that person is that accountability partner is then going to be able to say yay, you did it. Oh my goodness, I'm so excited. And then that's sharing in the experience is also part of building relationships, right? And that's going to be how all of these goals start to intertwine, and it's going to keep you more and more connected with your support system. And likely your support system is going to start saying, well, I kind of like what you're doing. I like to do that for myself as well. And now you can help be their guide and helping them get a little bit more organized in some areas and then grow in areas. And so no matter what, I don't care who you are, you can grow in each of these areas. I work on this every year. Dr. Bobbie works on this every year. There's never a time where there's not something in here that we are you know what? Each of these categories this year, here's what I want to work on. Here's what I want to work on. And we do it ourselves and we break it down. And it's the only way it's actually going to happen.
Yeah.
It doesn't just fall into your lap.
So go grab these PDFs. I think they would really help you. We use them. We live by them, and they'll just help you achieve your goals, help you on the right path.
Absolutely. All right. Last episode coming up next week, so stay tuned.
Thank you for listening to the episode today. If you would like to learn more about how Two Gals can support you, then join our Two Gals Insiders membership, which can be found at www.2-gals.com. Also, don't forget, follow us on social media. We're on Facebook as well as Instagram.